Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Brian.
an inmate at Florida Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring, and your location information may be collected and used by corrections and law enforcement personnel. To accept charges, press 1, 2. Thank you for using T-Netics. You may start the conversation now.
Hello.
Hey, this personal interview is being done on behalf of Jacksonville University for a course on juvenile delinquency. Do you consent to doing this interview? And if so, could you state your first name along with the charges you were convicted of at the time during which you were a juvenile?
Yes, I consent to this interview. My name is Brian, and I was convicted of armed burglary, armed robbery, armed false imprisonment.
I will begin by asking you a few questions. If you choose not to answer, simply say so and we'll move on. Is that okay?
All right.
All right. Other than being a juvenile, what do you think drove or motivated you to commit the crimes you were convicted of?
Um, I say peer influences. One, boredom, not having anything to do. Um, and just the thrill of doing something that you weren't supposed to do. And the justification behind it. Just afterwards, just justify your actions to make it right.
Surely you were made aware by the courts the gravity of the situation once you were under arrest. Uh, did a plea bargain motivate you to plead guilty in exchange for potentially less time?
Yes. Actually, my public defender, which is the counsel that was appointed to you if you couldn't afford one, he induced me to take an open plea, which is just basically you're asking the court for mercy.
I have to ask, was anyone, as a result of the crimes committed, was anyone physically harmed?
No. No one was physically harmed, but there was plenty of people that was mentally harmed mentally and emotionally. Myself included, but my family and most likely the victims, probably definitely the victims.
Would you be able to tell us how much time they gave you?
312.64 months, which calculates to 26 years in prison.
And how long have you been in prison for?
I'm going on 9 years in August.
Given your clean history prior to incarceration, or rather your lack of history of running with the law, do you feel like the jail time you received was proportionate to the crimes you were convicted of?
No, not on, in regards to a juvenile being sentenced to 26 years. I don't think that was for a non-homicidal offense. I don't think that was a proportionate sentence. Especially not having a chance to actually show if he's matured and give him an earlier chance of release based off his maturity and rehabilitation. No, I don't think it was a proportionate sentence.
Okay. As a juvenile, at the time, all the way until now, how is being sentenced? How is being sentenced as an adult affected you mentally and/or emotionally?
Well, at the time it crushed me because I couldn't even see past next week. Um, as an 18-year-old, just getting sentenced to 26 years, I couldn't even see that. I couldn't even see past 19, 20, 21. So I know it was a long time, and I felt like it was I was gonna die in prison, you know. So that affected me a lot.
So, in your own personal opinion, from a subjective standpoint, now that you've been integrated into the adult population, do you think the transfer laws for prosecuting juveniles as adults should be reviewed for legal amendment, or do you believe that prosecuting juveniles as adults is really an effective means of deterring or controlling crimes for juvenile offenders?
I don't think that a juvenile should be integrated or get sent to prison and do time with adults at all, period. But I do feel like there should be more mentoring programs and different. There should be something else, I'm gonna say, other deterrents. I mean,
Alternatives.
Alternatives to sentencing, and I feel like it has to involve older adults, older individuals that the youth can relate to, but can steer them in the right direction.
Do you have any regrets?
Of course, granted I did the crime, I got all this time, and I don't feel like I should have gotten that much time. But at the same time, I say it's been a blessing because to get where I'm at today and the level of understanding that I have today, as opposed to when I was out there on the street, lost, doing a bunch of crazy stuff or whatever. So,
Since we have less than a minute here, going to wrap it up here with one last question. Is there any coping advice you would have to offer other juveniles who are currently looking to serve adult sentences?
Don't drop the soap. No, just okay, well, first and foremost, don't lose hope. Keep on fighting. What I mean by that is keep on fighting your case. Don't fall into the prison lifestyle. Don't fall into the playing prison, Study, educate yourself. Because if you don't do it, then you're not going to learn anything.
Thank you for using Genetics. Goodbye.